few things. I really, really do believe that we as human beings are much, much more resilient than we think we are. You sometimes see people going through things. I've often one of those people who saw people going through things in the show and said, there's no way I would have lasted a day, you know. And you see people going through things and you look from the outside in and you say, I'd never be able to do that. The news that I've seen in these 75 very challenging days is we much, much, much stronger and more resilient than we think we are. We get kohot. I think the human spirit is very, very powerful. There's a lot of research in psychology which shows that human beings are a lot more resilient than we think we are. And what I've learned is you can't look into a situation that you're not in and say, how would I handle it? Firstly, no one should ever be in this situation. And secondly, if a person is ever, God forbid, in a situation that you, God forbid, don't want to be in, you can't imagine what it's like, and there's kohot that you're given. I don't know why I'm standing in front of you and speaking. I'm feeling quite relaxed. I'm not feeling, and I'm not the most relaxed person who's ever walked the earth. And I have to pace myself. I can't do too many groups. I do a number of groups. I also look after myself. I do give chizuk and get chizuk, but it's also very, very draining. And my first responsibility, of course, is to my wife and family, and I've got to see how often I come to Yerushalayim and how often not. And I'm doing a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff also for our son's release, etc. So I'm trying to balance everything. But I will say that we get kohot. I don't know from where, from Hashem, that He's first imbued the human spirit with incredible koach. I think us as Jews, the Nefesh Yehudi and the Neshama Yehudit has been through more trials and travails than any other people, and it's embedded in our national consciousness. Chazal call it, the Ramban has made this concept famous where he says in whatever happens in the book of Bereshit, Maaseh Avot, Siman Labanim, which in psychological terminology would be in the spiritual collective psychology of the Jewish people, these things that have happened then spiritually will happen again, and just as they dealt with it in a certain way, so are we able to. And Avraham Avinu stood by 10 different tests, as we know, and ongoing tests, and there was some haggle able to find, face impossible tests with impossible koach. The koach comes from the human spirit, it comes from Hashem, it comes from people's tefillot, which we are indebted. And if I can please ask you to daven for our son. His name is Daniel Shimon Ben Sharon. Perhaps sometime you can send it out. Daniel Shimon. It's easy to remember because Daniel was the one who got out of the lion's den, and Shimon in last week's parsha was thrown into prison and got out. So hopefully those are good signs, as was Yosef. And my wife's name is Shelley. Everyone's calling her Sharon. Her name is Shelley. Daniel Shimon Ben Sharon. If you can daven for his physical well-being, his spiritual, his emotional well-being, and his safe and speedy return with all the other hostages, Bezrat Hashem. But so here I'm going to share an idea